lead us today.
Lead us.
Always.
Always, always, always. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Live with Danielle and Teresa podcast show. We are so grateful to have you here every Tuesday. Even if you're watching on the replay, we appreciate you greatly, and we would love it if you would say hi in the comments, no matter where you're watching from and when, so that we can thank you for spending time with us, because we appreciate it. So before we start, we're going to let you know. So if you've been following us the last several episodes, you know that we have been asking you to help us reach more people by sharing our episodes and then commenting shared to let us know, hi Kayla, to let us know that you're watching live or on the replay and that you've shared the video, so that we can thank you and send you a little special gift bundle that we made with a subliminal affirmation, a guided meditation, and an affirmation poster. We made that exclusively for viewers of the podcast because we appreciate you guys so much. And so if you have shared the episode or any of the episodes at some point, you would have received a link from me with that. And when you share, and then when you tag friends and family and coworkers and neighbors and whoever, you're also, for each time you share and tag, you're entered into a draw to win a free custom subliminal from me and a free Reiki session and energy alignment session with Teresa, which, believe me, you want. And then what we do is we combine the magic of both, and I create your custom subliminal, and then I send it to you so that you can listen to it while you're doing Reiki with Teresa it just amplifies the magic of the whole session, because you're in when you are in the state of healing that Reiki puts you in, you are very suggestible, and your subconscious absorbs everything like 100 times. I don't know what the actual number is, but much, much deeper than you do anyway. And the subliminals are already effective. So this just like amplifies it. It amplifies the Reiki, all of it. So believe me when I say that you want to win this. So we started in May doing this. So this is our first, we're doing our live draw for the winner now. And then today's episode going forward, you'll have an opportunity to enter the draw in the same way for June, and we will continue doing it as long as it's working. So we drew the winner right before we started live so that we could hop right into the conversation afterwards. And we are very excited to announce that Kayla is the winner for May. So congratulations, Kayla. You can go ahead and send me a DM first so that I can get you the form I need you to fill out your custom subliminal, and then I will create your audio right away, and then we'll get you booked with Teresa after I've created the audio. So congratulations, and thank you so much for hanging out with us. I know Kayla watches every week. She has shared basically every episode. She's always tagging her friends and helping us spread the word, and we really appreciate it. So we're excited that you won that draw. Yes. So, and let's get into the conversation. So as always, the last several episodes we've been talking about the big leap. Today we're on chapter 6, which we said last week is one of our favorite chapters because it talks about Einstein time. And I know Teresa and I have both had experiences with Einstein time. And essentially what that is Einstein's so a lot of us are operating in Newtonian time, right? Which is like you're watching the clock, you're believing that the clock has power over you and time is a finite resource. But Einstein was like, well, no, we create our own time, and things take as long or as short as, like, it doesn't work that way, right? So Gay Hendricks is saying when you're in your zone of genius, you can drop into Einstein time. And I know that Teresa and I have both had experiences where we literally have called on Einstein time and literally asked the universe to put us in Einstein time to get done.
I did that this morning.
Yeah. See?
I was like, the time slacker doesn't want to get in trouble by the time clock. Einstein time kick in.
You gotta yeah, that's it, right? And it's funny because a few weeks ago, I left reading the chapter until Tuesday morning, which I normally don't do, but for whatever reason, it just, I hit an upper limit and I left it to the last minute, and it is what it is. And I remember I opened the book and I started reading a couple of pages, and then I was like, oh my God, how long is this chapter? And then I realized it was like many pages, and I thought, oh no, there's no way I'm going to have time, because normally I'll read and then I will, or do whatever I'm doing in the morning. And then I get my son up, and then school, and then we drop him off, and then I hop right into doing things, for work when I get back. So I was like, I don't want to have to read after I get back from dropping our son off because I have other things I want to do before the podcast episode, right? And I thought, okay, well, whatever. It doesn't matter. Everything will be fine. I am going to be able to finish this whole chapter, and then right when I finish is going to be, or maybe a couple minutes before, is when I'm going to look up at the clock and it's going to say 7:15 or whatever it was, the time I decided I was going to get our son up, and it was going to work out. And sure enough, I finished the chapter, look up, and I have like 1 minute to spare. And I was like, this is perfect. So you can use it to your advantage. And I know that it was funny. Several weeks ago, me and one of my clients, we didn't discuss this ahead of time, but we both kind of called on Einstein time before we have a, she's in my VIP inner circle. So every Thursday we have a call at 10. And I had some stuff I wanted to get done in the morning, and I thought, okay, I want to be done this for 10 so that after the call I can go on to doing whatever else. And she did the same thing with whatever she was working on. And then we come onto the call and we were like, should have been more specific though, because it took me right to the minute, and I should have given myself an extra 5 or whatever, because I was a couple minutes late for the call because I had to pee or whatever, because I didn't give myself time for that. And she was like, oh my God, me too. It was just so funny. So we got to be very specific, but you can totally call on it and use it to your advantage.
It's really just showing us, right? We think when it comes to manifestation and reality creation, that it's just about, we want to bring in money. We want to bring in love. We want to change our career. We want a new car and all this stuff. So we just only focus on those things, right? Of getting out of that lack mindset, not even realizing that time is another thing that we are operating from scarcity, right? That we are actually causing it to go faster or not have enough time because it's our belief, right? When I was reading it too, I was thinking like, my niece was asking me like an hour before if I can come over and watch the show with her or whatever. But I was reading the book. So I was like, oh no, I don't have time for that. I was like, oh shit, here I am doing it all day long. And it's not even that I didn't have time. I didn't want to fucking do it. But because we're so used to, I don't have time for that. Oh no. But in reality, we're just not interested. Right. And we're not taking ownership of that. And then I was like, oh my God, ripple effect. Here I am. How many times did we hear that growing up?
Oh yeah.
Come on. We ain't got time. Hurry up. Let's go. Come on. No, I don't got time for that. I'm busy. I got to do this. I got to get that done. So we're repeating another cycle. Again, another programming that's been instilled from the time that we were little. And here we go. Handing it down to the next generation. I was like, oh my gosh, from now on, I have to stop doing that. I just have to say, hey, I can't do this right now. Or no, I'm sorry, I don't want to do this right now. Whatever it is, right? That, what does he say? The enlightened no. If it doesn't feel good to you and you don't want to do it, just fucking be truthful. Well, because then you're causing all these blockages in other areas of your life, not even realizing it.
Yes, and it goes deeper than that too, right? Like in two respects. For one, I don't know what book it is. Maybe it's even earlier in this book where he talks about if you are not being totally honest with yourself, you're out of integrity with yourself. Is that this book or is that a different book? I can't even. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I'm literally reading 3 different books right now, so I'm having a hard time keeping track. But yeah. So then if you're in that specific example, if you're saying I don't have time, when really the truth is that you don't want to, or it doesn't interest you, or you just don't feel like it right now, or whatever, then be honest and say what it is, because then at least you can stay whole and complete in integrity with yourself. But also think about this. Teresa, I've been saying this for 21 episodes now. What you say is what you will manifest, right? So if you're saying I don't have time, not only are you lying to yourself, because you do have time if you wanted. Like his example in the book is, look, if you're, my daughter came in and asked me if I wanted to play catch. I said, no, I don't have time. He's like, but if she had come in with a bleeding foot because she stepped on a nail, I mean, I would have found the time, right? Like I would have made it. I would have like made it a priority. So we're unconsciously but actively manifesting more scenarios where we don't have time to do the things that we are pretending we want to do or not, or whatever. Like this is how we end up with these crazy schedules and all this stuff we have to do, feeling totally pressured with all of the things when we've taken on more things than we need to. And I mean, I will admit, I don't pass off enough stuff either. So it's self-inflicted also. But like Teresa's saying, like I've said too, I don't have time for that. Well, the thing is, because I've piled so many things on my plate, because I've manifested a scenario where I don't have time.
Yep. It's so many things in this right now. My mind's just going like 100 miles an hour, right? Because this journey, we talked about this many times, is energy and vibration.
Yeah.
I don't chase, I attract. Right? We hear that all the time. That's how it's supposed to be. What does that mean? That means that we're like a magnet. Okay. But if the magnet doesn't have no magnetism coming out of it to bring in these things, nothing's happening here.
Right.
Nothing's coming to you. None of your desires, the happiness, the love, everything. You're shut off completely. Right. He talks about this. He's talking about like your body goes into like a state of stress, and I'm just thinking like, holy shit. It's so true, right? I've heard we don't have business problems. You have emotional problems. You don't have, health problems. You have emotional problems. Yeah. Well, think about that. Once we go into that state of stress, everything shuts down. The magnetism shuts off. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. I think you heard it too. Don't quote me on it. What is it, like the telomeres that are like our fillers? I'm pretty sure that's what they're called. They're the ones that send out the signals and then bring in the desires to us. And from what I remember, as soon as you go into a state of stress, they get closed off. They shut down. So this is huge. This is a huge fucking deal. It's not even just about time.
No.
It's everywhere that we're doing this, shutting ourselves down. And then it's like, why isn't anything coming in? Why don't I feel good? Well, you're just like a fucking block of meat. There's nothing there. There's no energy. There's nothing coming in, nothing going out.
Well, that's it. And I'm just looking for it in here. See if I think I highlighted it, how he talks about, here.
And then literally you end up with health problems.
Okay.
Your body starts breaking down.
It's so interesting that, so I read half this chapter yesterday and I finished it this morning, the last couple of pages. And somewhere in between there, I saw this, it was like a reel or a TikTok or something of this woman. And she was saying like her husband died from cancer. And I think the actual like essence of the thing was like awareness, not to necessarily get a second opinion from your doctor, blah, 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 blah. But she was like, basically what happened was he put himself under so much stress constantly that it caused, because stress causes inflammation. And then she's like, inflammation causes cancer. So ultimately he died from stress is like really what happened. And I was just like, oh my God, like this is such a big problem. And then like you're saying, when you notice it in your body, he says, so I did a bit of highlighting here. It says, let's say you notice that your belly muscles are particularly tight on a given morning, but you're too busy so you don't stop to figure out why. What's really happening is you're choosing not to occupy the space of your tense belly by shining the light of awareness on it, right? And by choosing not to become aware of why your belly muscles are so tight, you sentence yourself to a day-long battle with time. Now, it's not really about but what I was going to say was it's more about this piece where he says you're choosing not to occupy the space. Like you're choosing not to take up, here he says, we also need to make a few changes in how we think about space. When we're running on Einstein time, our experience of time changes because we make a fundamental change in how much space we're willing to occupy. By learning to occupy space in a new way, we actually gain the ability to generate more time. And I'm just like, and I've read this book before, you guys. Like I have read it before, and I don't remember that being in there the first time. Maybe I just wasn't ready to hear it the way that he's explaining it or something. I don't know, but I think also too, because very, very practically, like Teresa and I are, as we're asking you to share our episodes, like we are very transparently on a journey to take up more space, to occupy more space, and to be seen. So that I think really hit for me too in a lot of ways, because it's like, oh my God, think about how just from a practical, like right now business sense, Teresa and I are finding ourselves busy with this, busy with that, busy with this, busy with that. And some of the time I catch myself, it's like, hang on a second. That's not even the most important thing right now. The most important thing right now is to hop on and go live, or to hop on and do this, or to write this email, or to make sure you're showing up for these things. Occupy more space. You don't need to contract, right? And then we can call on Einstein time to help us occupy more space, slow time down, have it converge so that it works for what we need it to. Right.
And I think, you know, we talked about this last time too. How do you gauge where you are, like the mark of change? How do you know you're in the flow? How do you know you're in Einstein time? Feel into your body.
Right.
How does your body feel? Does it feel tense? Does it feel tight anywhere? Because when you close your eyes for a few minutes, like if you're going to go into meditation, right? Like for me, and you guys can do this to see what so you can see the shift, what it feels like, right? You close your eyes, you just imagine the top of your head. I say everything, you know, relax my head, relax my ears, my shoulders, my arms, you know, elbows, wrists, everything all the way down. Give it a few seconds. If you're sitting down, you feel yourself like melt into where you're sitting. For me, I like to lay down and I can feel myself melt into the floor. That's that shift. All of a sudden, there's no tension in your body. You're not worried about anything. For me, I get this like overwhelming happy feeling. And that's how I know. If I'm not feeling that, my body's tense anywhere, I'm stressing over anything, you're not in Einstein time. You're not in flow. You're not in the frequency of your desires. You're not in the frequency of miracles. Your lucky girl era is in that frequency, this Einstein time shift. That's where everything's at. Everything just flows with grace and ease. Instantly. Yeah. Instantly you can feel the difference. Just like this morning too, I was like, oh my gosh, I have this much time. I got to do 5 million things. And I was like, hold on, you know better. As soon as you start like that, it's like, anxiety, nervous system dysregulation. What have we been talking about for how many episodes now? This whole journey is about keeping your nervous system regulated. Yeah. Keep your emotions under control, which keeps your vibration where we want it to be, to feel good and to shift to quantum leap.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny how you say, you know, you got 5 million things to do. Like I have been in the state before where, and this really comes from not having a proper framework in place, not having, like we've talked about this too, you need to have a clear why, like what is your zone of genius? Why are you doing what you're doing? What is the purpose? What is the bigger purpose? Like it's not just to execute this one thing or do this one video or read this one book. Like what's the bigger reason why you're doing any of this stuff, right? But when you're not clear on what you are doing, and I actually did a training yesterday in my Facebook group talking about the manifestation goal achievement framework that I use and why it's so important. Because if you don't have that, when you have a pocket of time where, you know, maybe it's an hour or two before you need to be somewhere, you got an appointment, maybe you have to, you know, a podcast interview like this, maybe you are showing up for a coaching call, maybe you just, I don't know, find yourself with some unexpected time on your hands because the house is empty because your husband and son decided they were going to the skate park and your son said, can you not come? And it's like, okay, I guess, right? Ask me how I know that. So, but then you find yourself with this time and then you go into frantically, oh my God, how can I utilize this time? But then what happens is because your nervous system is not regulated, because you're not using Einstein time, because you're not in flow, you end up spending a good portion of that time frantically trying to decide how best to use your time, right? So this is why the zone of genius, this big leap is so important, because when you are clear on what you're doing, when you're clear on the roadmap, when you know why you're doing anything you're doing, it's so much easier to decide, okay, how can I best utilize this time? You don't even really need to ask yourself. It'll just be like, oh, okay, well, I'll go back to whatever I was doing, because you'll also find that when you are following your own roadmap and you're living by your zone of genius and you're following your purpose, it's also easier for you to jump in and out of projects. For example, like I know Teresa right now is working on a manual to accompany her reiki packages, which I'm very excited to see it come to fruition. It's kind of like a explanation, and it doesn't matter. Anyway, it's very exciting. I'm very excited for her. But so when you're in flow, when you know why you're doing the things that you're doing, like she has a very clear outcome of, she wants to help more people energetically align. She wants to help more people cleanse their aura. She wants to help more people understand their own magic. She wants to coach. She also understands that this is her purpose. This is what she's supposed to be doing. So she can call on Einstein time to work on this manual. But then when she's had enough, or something comes up, or it's time to stop for the day, or, you know, her daughter comes home from school or whatever, she can just pause and be at peace with it, because she knows that the bigger purpose of this manual is, there's no rush either. And she knows that she will be given enough time to work on it whenever it's applicable.
Right. Whereas before it was like, I have to get this done. I have to get this done. So what happens? I sit there and I don't write shit because nothing's coming to my head because I'm like, I got to do this. I got to do this. It has to get done. It has to get done by this time. Like, oh my gosh. He talks about this in this book many times.
Yeah.
What happens? You know, you're going to go take a test. All of a sudden you forget everything because you're being rushed. Some people, it just doesn't, not some people, almost all of us. Once our body tenses up, once we're not in flow, that's it. It's a done deal. Your fucking memory goes out the door and you're like thinking there's something wrong with you, but it's not. It's because everything is energy and vibration.
Yeah.
Everything is about being in the flow.
Yeah,
everything,
exactly.
Every single fucking thing. And I think this is a good thing for, you know, whoever's watching when moving forward, right? Before you do anything, take a few minutes. Take 5-10 minutes. If you had this allotted time where you're going to work on something, but you're just feeling like you're not really feeling creative at the moment or whatever it is, just sit there with yourself for 5-10 minutes. Close your eyes. Take yourself into Einstein time. Shift your vibration. Shift your frequency. Think about one of the happiest moments in your life, right? That instantly, that's going to shift your vibration, making you feel good. You don't want to do anything without feeling good. Nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
It's not going to work out. It's not going to work out how it should. When you take those few minutes before you work on anything, all of a sudden everything just comes to you. It's like being downloaded. Einstein talks about these things. You guys go watch his biography. Please go read about him. Go get to know his fucking story because it's nuts. It's nuts. Yeah. I mean, he was constantly talked shit to about how stupid he is. Are you kidding me?
Well, and that's just it. Like, and one of the I mean, like, I think it was even last week, Teresa was saying how Einstein continuously gave credit to, you know, people before him, to the downloads, to
connecting
God, to
that
to
source.
Yeah, like he never said, yeah, I thought of that, right? He always thanked somebody else. It's because he was in the flow, because he knew he was living in his zone of genius. He didn't let anything stop him, and he continuously asked for help, right? I have been doing this for a long, long time. When I first was getting my business started, I used to go live every, I think it was like Wednesday evening or something. Not that that matters. And I remember I would sit before I went live every single time, and I would light a candle, and I would say, I light this candle with the intention that the universe, you know, God, angels, whoever, you know, needs to come through, whoever the people watching resonate with, come through me and speak through me in a clear and, you know, a clear communicative way, so that the people watching get what they need and, you know, inspire me to say whatever. And there was times where I literally, like, I was talking, but I don't know, it was literally like something had taken over me, and it was so cool. And then I had forgotten that for a while when I was falling out of flow, and then I recently called it back, and it's so much better. It's so much better when you just ask for help and allow yourself to be led, knowing that you are, when you're clear on where you're going and what you're doing, and that you're moving towards your zone of genius, that everything is going to work out and you just have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, I'll let you guys in a little secret of something I say before I do anything. Is I say, by the power and activation of the intelligent substance within my subconscious mind, everything is in flow right now. I know exactly what to say. I know exactly what to do. And I kid you not, it's like, I just start writing. There's a word for that. That's automatic writing.
Yeah.
So you're literally tapped into something and you don't even have to think. It just comes out. And that's what I was doing with the manual too, because I sat there for a while like, shit, well, the sample that I had, which triggered me to make, to want to make the manual, it's so clear and precise. I'm like, how the fuck am I ever going? Like, I can't, this is it. Like, this is the secret sauce. And I sat there like racking my brain, like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do my own and my own words and make it? And then I was like, you know what to do, right? And then you guys can say that too. I'm a master at manifesting. I know exactly what to do. Keep fucking repeating that over and over and over and over. You will get led to exactly what you need to do.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I combined. And then all of a sudden I sat there and I'm just like writing. I'm like, oh my God, this is so amazing. What the fuck? But we forget these things and we got to go back.
Yeah.
Forget,
Yeah.
go back. You know, it's constant. Yeah. It's constant, you guys. And I know, oh my gosh, something just flew up. We always have to check in with each other. Right now, shit is very heavy energetically. Oh my gosh. Like so many realizations right now. It always is. And that's what I realized too, is like on this journey, I don't think the challenges will ever stop. It's constant because we're meant to keep evolving and expanding continuously. Yeah. This is why we need this book. We're always going to need it to go back to it. Right? And the future books that we're going to be doing, oh my gosh. Amazing. But we have to have these tools. We have to have them because we're going to continuously have shit thrown at us. But once you have the tools, it's going to make it to where you navigate these things so much easier. Yeah. Where you're not even you're going to be so in flow and you're going to have created this new energetic state that when these things come at you, you're just like, that's funny. Like, that's crazy. That was meant to take me out, but there's nothing that could take me out anymore. Like literally.
Yeah, you can start seeing it for the lesson that it's sent to be, or the showcase of how far you've come, right? Because nothing happens by accident, right? Like we're always saying, things that come up are either showing you what needs to be changed or helping you become who you need to become. Like that's the beginning and end of it. It's nothing just happens, right? And I just did a whole live on my page about this and how you have to be, you can't play victim to what's going on. I mean, we did a whole episode on this weeks and weeks ago about how you cannot let your circumstances cause you to be victim. You can't look at what's going on around you and go, well, I can't reach my goal because of XYZ. This thing isn't manifesting because of ABC. No. It's you, it's your energy, it's your thoughts, it's what you choose to focus on. You're forgetting your power. That's really what it is.
That's all that it is. You know, we were born forgetting everything. This is why we have each other as well, right? We're triggering each other into a remembering of who the fuck we are on a spiritual level, on a soul level. Until you come into that, this, oh my gosh, this is a huge deal right now. Because yesterday, the day before, probably the last 3-4 days straight, everybody that I've talked to is just like, it's people who have money, who from the outside looking in, you think that they fucking have it all together. It looks like it, but they're miserable and they don't understand why. It was like, oh, I got to buy that new Louis bag. Oh, you know, I went and got my brand new BMW, but I fucking hate the world. I hate my family. I hate this. Why? Because you're not connected to the fucking ways of the universe. You're not connected to your true self. That's what this is about right now. This is us shifting the paradigm. This is us creating a new paradigm, a new reality, a new consciousness here on this planet. There's no way, I don't give a shit who it is. If you're not learning these ways, you will forever, your soul will forever feel empty and unsatisfied. Yeah. You can go get as much money in this whole damn world, all the material things in existence. It doesn't matter. You're not fulfilling your soul. You're not living in your zone of fucking genius. Period. Yeah. Nothing works out. It's like, not even that it doesn't work out. It doesn't feel good. Yeah. Like literally, I had somebody on the phone with me yesterday crying. And this person is a fucking millionaire. But is chasing the next shiny object. Okay, cool. Yep, I did that. Okay, cool. I'm going to prove to these people, you know, that I'm this legend or whatever because I have these accomplishments materialistic wise. But I'm like, so where do you sit with yourself? Where do you fill your own cup? Are you connecting, you know, to love? Like you have no love in your life. You've blocked it all out. You're not connecting to your spirit. You know, it's inevitable, but that is like a huge thing right now. Like all these people who have made it financially, but they're empty inside.
Right.
Why?
Right. And
you can't avoid this work. You can't.
No. And I mean, okay, yeah, like things are easier when you have money because at least that you can, like, you know what I mean, outsource your time and you can do, but it doesn't, and I'm not saying I don't want money because I definitely do. I'm not saying that I don't. But what I am saying is I don't want it to come at the expense of anything else. Like I mean, there's been times where like right before, like when things were really bad before I went, you know, back to work or whatever, people were still saying to me like, thank you for, you know, posting this thing or saying that thing or doing this video because it really helped, like it helped me. Right. And so that kept me going because I knew, okay, at the very least, I mean, maybe I don't have the hang of it. Maybe I'm not doing the business things correctly, but I am making a difference. I am doing what I'm meant to do because when I'm doing it, no matter what else is going on, I feel so good because I'm making a difference. Like people's lives are better because I exist and because I'm willing to put myself out there on the internet for, you know, all these strangers to see, right? Like that. And I'm not saying that has to be your thing. I'm just saying for me, that is my thing. And it feels so good to have found what I'm supposed to be doing and then figuring out the rest of the pieces as we go and letting things expand as they need to. But again, you know, when you're living in your zone of genius too, I want like to make this clear too. Everything has to work out. Like sooner or later, it has to. That's just the way that it works. And you can't ultimately make a mistake when you're going in that right direction. Like you have to be very interested in figuring out what it is that you're meant to do here. You have to.
Yeah. I know it's side tangent, but I feel like it's a big deal right now. Like, for the millionaire, you know, talking about how they have nobody that they can trust, family fucking betrays them, parents choose the sibling over them, and just like, oh my gosh, we've talked about all this shit in this book, right? And here it is, like, here is a live, real person I'm talking to about all the things that are going on. And he's like literally hitting everything that we've hit in the fucking book. So evaluate your self-talk. Okay, you guys, and I know we've talked about this many times, but obviously we need to repeat it again because it's coming up in the collective. Even though this person has plenty of proof in their reality that this is how people have treated them this whole time, right? Parents chose siblings over them. Everybody that's come in their life has betrayed them. The more he speaks this story, it's going to continue, right? This is what I had to bring to this person's attention. Okay, listen, you could sit here, you could give me proof all day that your parents are assholes, your siblings are assholes, 5 million people have betrayed you. But as long as you keep that as a belief, and this is where the ego death comes in, right? Because you have to fucking let go. You got to let go of what everybody did to you before. That's the hardest shit. This person kept repeating the story over and over and over. But okay, I get that. I get it 100%. They're fucking assholes, okay? Let's just say they're assholes for everything they did to you. But every time you go back into that story, especially with emotions, you are feeding this motherfucker so much energy to keep regurgitating over and over and over and over and over. And then you're wondering, why do I keep repeating the same reality? Why does this keep fucking happening to me? Because we're that powerful. You're speaking it into existence. You're giving it your energy. You're giving it your emotion. You're feeding it. Therefore, it's never going to leave. You know, I tell clients sometimes like, okay, well, I get it. I get this person treated you that way. I don't give a fuck if they cut your toe off in front of me right now. I don't want you to pay attention to it. I'm going to wrap it up and you're going to act like it didn't happen because we're not feeding into this shit. We're not feeding into, we're not perpetuating it. Like, that's how serious I am. I don't care what happens right now. You got to ignore the things that you don't want to continue and write a new story. Live in a new story. This book is helping us see all the different areas that we didn't even see prior to. We've read this book, I don't know how many times. I didn't even realize to this time, like, holy shit, like, it's scarcity mindset. Even with time, we're creating these things. We're creating all of our own blockages. We're creating the same reality over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Right? There's so many people that are going through this right now. And I know this for sure because even I posted a story talking about, are you tired of, you know, living the same reality out over and over and over and over? And I got so many DMs like, I hate it. I have bad luck. That's just, you know, I've accepted this. And I was like, whoa, rewind. I've accepted this.
Don't
You sure
ever
have.
say that. Yeah.
You sure the fuck have. And this is why it keeps continuing. You don't have to accept shit as truth. You don't have to hold on to anything that you don't want to keep continuing to experience in your reality. And let's speak on this really quick. Side tangents. Here we go. Bad luck. You guys, there's no such thing. There's no such thing as bad luck. If you sit there and you get a pen and a paper, whatever it is that you're considering bad luck, it's usually something that you keep experiencing over and over and over that doesn't feel good, that you don't like. Look at your beliefs around this thing. And I promise you, you have a belief as this is true. Mm-hmm. Even if you've experienced this thing, for you to say, oh, I have bad luck, you had to have experienced it.
Uh-oh.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. Oh, there you go.
You're good.
You had to have experienced this thing quite a few times for you to be like, oh, I just have bad luck. And that's what it is. So you have proof in your 3D reality in front of you that this particular thing is true, right? But you have to counteract it with a new story. You can't hold on to it as a belief. That's why it's staying. And then you think that you have bad luck. Am I making sense?
Yeah, totally.
Now my sound is gone.
Oh no. Well, I'll just say, while she figures that out, because you are continuously affirming what you don't want, right? Like, so this is how the reticular activating system works in your brain, right? So here, I was saying, this is the reticular activating system at work, because you've said, whenever, like, this thing always happens to me, and then, or after this is always happens, or bad things happen in threes, or after a day of good things, this bad thing happens. Like, and then you affirm it, and then you pay attention to it, and then you give it more esteem. Mm-hmm. It's like, my dad has this thing that he thinks that people who wear hats are bad drivers. I don't know why he thinks this, but he's like, and then, so if somebody will do some dick move in traffic, and he's like, see, he's wearing a hat. But the thing was, if he hadn't been wearing a hat, he wouldn't have said anything about it. But because the guy happened to be wearing a hat, he's like, see, and it continues to affirm. So now every time he sees somebody with it's the point where he sees somebody wearing a hat who's not even a bad driver, but assumes that they are a bad driver because they're wearing a hat. Like, this is a dumb example, but this is how it shows up in your life, right? This is how it is. If you think, oh, people who drive, like my husband said something the other day, people who I've noticed, he said, I've noticed all the people who drive like dickheads around our neighborhood are the ones with the expensive cars. I was like, oh my gosh.
Shit.
Don't say things like that. Right? It's like the thing is, people in expensive cars who don't drive like dicks don't stand out then.
Derek said I wear a hat.
Yeah, Derek, he does wear a hat. And he's a very good driver. But then also the guys who are driving badly in less expensive cars, like, it doesn't stand out the same way. It's just, this is how we program our brain. Like, these are goofy examples, but this is how it works. Right? You affirm every time you give it power, you affirm it further, which then it sinks further in your brain. We're talking about neural pathways. This is what is it called? Neuroplasticity in your brain. The things that you pay attention to more and more build up those neural pathways more and more. It becomes not only a thought, now it's a belief, and now it has to be reflected back to you in your reality, because the reticular activating system is filtering out all the information in your reality that either does or doesn't agree with what you're saying, and it shows you all of what you're saying. You're right, you're right, you're right. So if you're going to say you have bad luck, or like my son's teacher the other day said something about jinxing the weather. She's like, I didn't want to say anything because I was worried I was going to jinx it. I'm like, no. If you, like, that basically is a belief that if you speak something out loud, you're going to jinx it from happening. Like, that is the worst belief to have, because we want to believe that by speaking it out loud, it brings it into existence, right? In a positive, empowering way, right? So she said something about jinxing, and I was like, no, don't say that. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
One other situation I want to bring up too, because somebody's going to watch this and they're going through the same exact situation as what I'm being told right now. So I had a client and she's married, and it's gotten to a point where they're just like roommates, right? So he's involved with other people. I don't know if she really is or not, but he is for sure. So I was like, okay, well, let's get clear on what do you want? What do you want in this life? Because no fucking circumstance matters.
Right.
You can literally turn everything around in your favor through the power of your mind.
Right.
So her thing was, well, you know, I don't think that it'll ever change. I just beat into your brain 1,000,000 times that you are the creator of your reality.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about right now?
Yeah. That's not what I asked you. Yeah.
It
What do you
doesn't
want?
matter.
Yeah.
You have created all of these fucking circumstances, your belief systems that you're not worthy enough, or that somewhere down the line that your husband's going to fucking cheat. Therefore it shows up. So I'm not saying go ahead and let people fucking cheat on you, but I am saying that.
Uh-oh, she cut out again. What she's getting at is she's not saying that you should let people mistreat you or disrespect you or anything like that, but you are the creator of your own reality, and you need to get a grip on what you believe and what you expect. I'm actually reading a book right now. One of the many books I'm reading is called The Expectation Effect. And what you expect to happen is what will happen. Like, that is what's going to happen in your reality. So if, like she's saying, in this scenario, if you are expecting something bad to happen in your relationship at some point, because that's what's been happening, then nothing outside of that can happen.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. So to carry on with that, right? She says, I don't think it's ever going to change. I don't think he will. Wait a minute. I don't think you're understanding your power. And she says, I've already accepted that he's involved with 2 other women. You've already accepted it. Once you accept it, then it is so. Literally, you guys. If you want your fucking marriage back, you want a healthy, beautiful, happy marriage, relationship, whatever it is 100% achievable. No circumstance matters. You are in complete control. I don't know how much more to instill that into you for you to fucking understand this. As long as you say, well, I've already accepted that he has other women, then so it is. It's not going to change. But once you come into this information, I'm sorry, I don't give a shit. Like, I know it's fucked up, whatever is appearing in the 3D, but it's your own belief system that's showing up.
Right.
And you could leave this man, you could go somewhere else, but you still have the same belief systems. It's still going to fucking show up.
Yeah.
This is why women are like, well, you know, my picker is terrible. I just can't choose the right guy. I just keep attracting toxic relationships. The fuck you are attracting this through your belief system. You have to go in, you got to get a pen and a paper, and you got to do brain dump exercises to see where you are creating this. And then you got to shift.
Yeah.
There's more to this process, right? You got to ignore what shows up in front of you as the old reality falls away. You got to stay in alignment, but there's no fucking circumstance that cannot be changed.
Yeah.
I'm living proof of all of these things. I have turned everything around in my reality, so much so that it's like, whoa, this is fucking crazy. Let's keep going. But somebody needed to hear that. Yes. Somebody needs to hear that. We're taking full responsibility for everything in our reality. If you do not, this is why people get to, I'm so healed. I don't understand why this keeps showing up. I'm fucking healed, Teresa. I've argued with somebody who says that she's a therapist. I know what I'm doing, but yet she's sitting there on a live complaining about this man who she was dating. And, you know, if he would have only been truthful and told her from the beginning that he was talking to other women, he's a piece of shit, blah, 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 blah. And my head is like, have you did any subconscious reprogramming? Have you worked on any of your belief systems? So I like brought it up to her, and she was like, I'm a therapist. I know what I'm doing. Well, obviously not, honey, because you're sitting here complaining that you have the same experience over and over and over, and that all men are shit when it's you. But this is what happens. A lot of people are like, oh, well, I'm healed. I'm over that. I'm good. Yeah. Okay. It's just like a computer, right? That we put apps in there. We download programs. Just because you're not clicking on the program doesn't mean that it's still not taking up space in your memory and your computer somewhat operating from those things. the same shit.
Right.
You got to go in, you got to delete, you got to reprogram on a subconscious level.
Yeah.
And we're trying to give you all the tools here. And we're trying to help you do it while you're fucking.
Oh, there she goes again. There she's back. Oh, I can't hear you. Oh my goodness. But yeah, my husband's chiming in. He said, I think communication in relationships is really important too. You need to talk to each other to prevent things from happening, which is 1,000% true. And maybe in the case of this woman that Teresa's talking about, where she says, well, if he had just been honest from the beginning, well, there's also, you could argue, I mean, yes, it's definitely beliefs, but maybe she's got beliefs around communicating, beliefs around being honest, beliefs around allowing herself to be seen fully by this other person, which is why it didn't come up. Because if you know yourself well enough and are healed like she's claiming to be, then you would see more of those red flags. You know what I mean? So there's that. And yes, Derek also says, I don't think we're ever healed. We can always work on something, always. Like, for sure. And Teresa said that earlier in the episode. Something to that effect basically was like, the process doesn't end, because as you continue to evolve and expand and become who you're supposed to be more and more and more, which is at the same time simultaneously unbecoming who you've been told you were or thought you had to be, there's new levels to unlock. Like, we're just like one big onion walking around. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. She's yelling. Oh man. No. She'll have to go and come back. Anyway, so I hope that we're, and this is a lot of side tangents off from Einstein time, but it all is relevant, right? Because we're the creator of our own reality. We can create the time. And something else that I say all the time that I think is relevant to say here is, whenever we say, I don't have time, I mean, now it's especially relevant because we're talking about Einstein time, that we make our own time, but you have to prioritize too, right? Like, if it's not a priority to you, then of course you're not going to have time for it because it's not a priority. So the next time you say, the next time you catch yourself saying, I don't have time for that, first and foremost, realize that that's bullshit and you create your own time. But also think about,
what are you avoiding?
Yes, that's not a priority for me, right? Because the next time your kid asks you to play and you say, I don't have time, repeat it in your head with, it's not a priority. No, it's not a priority to play with you. And you're going to feel like shit about yourself for about 5 seconds. And then you can make a better decision, right? Because that's really what it comes down to, is we're not making decisions that are aligned with the versions of us that we want to be. That is like beginning and end of it. Like, when it comes down to our zone of genius, when it comes down to Einstein time, all of it, we need to be making decisions that align with the version of us we want to become, because the version of us that we are in our zone of genius is not the version we are now. The version of us that we are now is doubting ourselves, is letting, negative self-talk get in the way, is, like Teresa was just saying, playing victim to your old circumstances, replaying past things, not forgiving, not moving on, not realizing that we have more power. All of what we need and want is on the other side of changing the way we see ourselves and the world, right? Our identity needs to shift so that we can experience a new world. And and again, this is not about shifting your identity to become a new person. It really is shifting your identity to let go and get rid of all of the things that you're not, that you were told you are. Like, and he says in the book even here, like, if you are carrying around the persona of being the shy kid, or like for me, for example, my mom always used to say to everybody, Danielle doesn't like to be the center of attention. She doesn't like to be the center of attention. Actually, I love being the center of attention. But I lived by that for so long because I thought it was true, because I kept being told, no, you don't like to be the center of attention. But really what it was, we all know now, because I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, I didn't want to outshine my sister. Right? Mm-hmm. So it had nothing to do with me at all. It had to do with me not wanting to outshine my sister, which is why it looked on the outside like I didn't want to be the center of attention, but I didn't want to take the spotlight off of my sister. I didn't want to outshine her. So it took me a long time to realize, no, actually, I love being the center of attention. I'm a Leo and I'm a manifester. Like, tell me how I don't like to be the center of attention. Like, tell me, please, how that makes sense. Like, it doesn't at all. So we need to let go of, like I say, when we're shifting our identity, it's not necessarily about I mean, it is about becoming who we want to be, but who we want to be is really who we're meant to be. That's why you desire those things to begin with, is because those desires are the breadcrumbs leading you to being who you want to be, right? And the things that we want, sometimes it is, we're led by material, we're led by influence, we're led by other things, because those are the breadcrumbs. Like when I got into deliberate manifestation, the only reason I even was entertaining the idea, because at the time I didn't believe in God, I didn't believe in like any extra power. I thought humans were the highest form of all the things. Very honestly, what got me interested in deliberate manifesting was I had started with a network marketing company and I wanted to make more money. And somebody told me to watch The Secret, and I did, and they kept talking about, you know, things going well and making more money and having these cars and these things. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, I want all of those things. Right. And that led me down the path to now I believe in God. I believe in the universe. Like I've been attending church, for crying out loud. Like this is not who I used to be. But sometimes we have to follow the breadcrumbs and just trust the process. And that's exactly what we've been talking about here, right? Is like letting it unfold. And so the things that you want, maybe right now you are being led by material things. But it's only because not only are you meant to have those things, and there's nothing wrong with wanting material things or having material things. That's not what I'm saying. It's also not the most important thing. But for you to become the person who has those material things, whether it become the person who makes enough money to afford those things or whatever, requires a new level of yourself, which in turn requires you to let go of the things that aren't that person.
Right. And it talks about creating this persona as we're going through life. And so with the millionaire that I was talking about, he has created a persona. He has this alter ego that is like a monster, really. But because of what he experienced growing up as a child, and part of his breakdown right now, why we were even communicating and stuff, is like he feels lost. He feels disconnected. He's like, this is not me. It's not me. It doesn't even feel good anymore. I got all the fucking money. I made all these achievements, everything. So as you know, I can easily dissect when people are speaking, and I can see exactly where it started.
Yeah.
He got made fun of as a kid. He was bullied all the time. So this alter ego came in to fuck people up and to say, fuck you, you know, you can't do this to me no more. But it doesn't feel good because that's not genuinely who he is. He's not operating from his true self.
Right.
And this is what this journey is about, right? We're coming back home to self. We're taking off all the masks. We're taking off all the layers that have been put on us since, I mean, you know this, especially if you have children. That first day of school, you're like dreading it because you know your kid's not going to come home the same. Because now they're being exposed to this outside world, and they're going to have to create masks. They're going to have these different personas to survive. And that's what we've been in this whole time, is fucking survival mode, doing things just to get through. Now it's safe. You're safe. Let's take it all off. Yeah. Let's come back to this place of love where our soul and our spirit feels fulfilled, where we feel good. We don't feel like anything's missing anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And for us, you know, because we were raised in a generation where our parents were still very much like, you know, kids should be seen and not heard. Don't make a stink. You know, don't cry. I'll give you something to cry about. Like things like that, right? Whereas now we're very much like, no, we understand. I mean, and again, our parents were doing the best they could with what they knew at the time. I'm not like, it is what it is. But now that we know better, we can do better. So now it's more, I don't even really like the word gentle parenting, but it's more like, feel your emotions, like be who you need to be, you know, follow your interests. I'm not going to force my kid to do things he doesn't want to do. We've talked about that before too, where like, I mean, obviously homework and stuff needs to get done and things like that. But I mean, like, I'm not going to, just because he's a boy, I'm not going to force him to play soccer. Like he doesn't want to play. He's not interested. He would rather build a robot in the garage with his grandpa. Oh, fantastic. Then let's do that. You know what I mean? Let's go bake something. Let's draw pictures. That's what he would rather do. And so I think a lot, like when Kaylee's saying too, is I realized I need to rewrite my subconscious beliefs about my worth. Right. And so, and that really, a lot of that stems from, because we're from the same generation where our parents, unknowingly, they would, I believe 1,000,000% that they would not have done this on purpose. Like, this is not an intentional, I want you to doubt your worthiness. Like, absolutely no. But a lot of the ways that we were brought up, and of course, the way our parents were brought up, and so on and so on and so on, generations past, like this stuff has been passed down. was what was happening was you're not worthy of what you want. You have to be good to receive anything. You know, this has to happen before you can have that. And you're not just innately worthy, you have to earn it and things like this. And it's like, okay, we have to undo all of that, right? So when we're talking about becoming, you know, this version of yourself that has all the things that you want and is working towards and all of that, it's not about becoming this version of yourself you've never known. It's actually about becoming the person that you were always meant to be. I hope that makes sense. Right? So keep that into consideration. It's not about becoming anything that you were not ever meant to be at all. It's not about putting on more masks. It's about actually taking all of them off. And then us as parents now can do a better job of raising our kids by realizing that by nurturing our kids and having them feel worthy in what they want and nurturing what they're naturally good at and letting them grow into the little people that they are meant to be, they will have to do so much less of this stuff. And then eventually, like Teresa and I have talked about this before, we have a vision in our minds that eventually it will get to the point where, and maybe it's just the next generation, maybe it's a couple down the line, but we want to create a world where the kids don't need to do shadow work, where books like, you know, Dark Side of the Light Chasers is not a relevant read anymore. And How to Do the Work is not a relevant read anymore. Like not that I want to make those authors irrelevant, but what I'm saying is, and they're very helpful resources, by the way, if you need to do shadow work or you need to, well, both are shadow work, I guess. Dark Side of the Light Chasers by Debbie Ford and How to Do the Work by Dr. Nicole LePera, both amazing books. Amazing books. Lots of like journaling and exercises and stuff. So don't expect it to be a quick process, but it's worth it. But anyway, my point is our dream, our vision is to create a world where our kids don't need those books, where they're going to look at this on the shelf and go, what was wrong with our parents that we needed a book like this? You know, where right now we need books that, like, I found one in my friend's place that said something to the effect of like, dealing with emotionally immature parents or something like this, or like how to be an adult when your parents are still like, and because the truth of the matter is when we experience some kind of trauma, this is like way side tangent from what we were talking about Einstein time, but that's okay. When we experience some kind of trauma, and I don't really like the word trauma because it's not even necessarily trauma, it's just some significant emotional event in our life that ends up defining who we are and has us putting on a mask for a good portion of our life, right? We end up operating from that place, and what happens is they have shown psychologically that whatever age that happens, you freeze emotionally, developmentally at that age. So for a lot of us, like Teresa and I have said, from 0 to 7 or 8, your subconscious mind is like a sponge. So chances are a lot of our parents are walking around like adult 8-year-olds.
Yep.
Which is like crazy. And we grew up thinking they knew everything. And then we get to be adults and we realize we don't know what's going on. They definitely didn't know what was going on, but we can at least do a better job now because we have more resources than they had, right? And it's all about just being better than we were before, being better than the generation before. Every generation the idea is that we expand and we improve and we become, because ultimately the parents we are will determine what the next generation is like. Right. And so on and so on and so on. And which is why stuff like this is so important, because if you can live in your zone of genius, if you can develop the awareness and the skill of tapping into Einstein time, and you can own your purpose and let your kids and let your grandkids witness that. And so they grow up seeing that it's normal for you to go for what you believe in and what you love rather than what people think that you should do. Like, imagine the world we can create. Like, I am so passionate about this. It's like not even funny.
Yep.
So do the work, guys. Do the work, read the books, follow along, stay in our world, because like I'm telling you, we have the power. Because I know a lot of you watching are moms or dads, right? So we have the power to literally change. The ripple effect of this is so great. We have the power to change what the future looks like based on how much we're willing to look at ourselves and heal ourselves now.
Hello.
Right? So this is like really, really important. This is not just about reading a book. This is not just about having a nice conversation once a week. This is not about manifesting, fancy things. This is about doing the work to unbecome all of the things that we were told we needed to be.
Yep.
So that we can step into our power and be who we are supposed to be, so that we can be a positive influence for our kids and their kids and generations to come. So like, it's so much deeper than what it looks like. That's
Oh yeah. It's not just a book.
No. And that was like a mental side tangent, but I'm glad we went down that road, because I know that those kinds of things happen for a reason. Teresa and I know that these conversations are valuable, and that's why we ask that you help us share the videos. And thank you, James, for sharing. I saw that he shared, and I will make sure you get the link to our meditation and subliminal and affirmation poster. But like, you guys, this stuff is so important. So I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you are absorbing what we're saying. I hope that you're even taking notes. I hope that you'll come back and watch the replay again.
Ask questions.
Ask questions.
Get involved with us.
Definitely.
Like Derek does.
Yeah, like Derek does, and like Kaylee did today. Like we are here, as you know, for you, right? Because Teresa and I could continue having these conversations in private like we were before. So it's not like we're not gonna have the conversations, but we know that it benefits so many people. So thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. We hope that you have found this valuable. We hope that you'll come back next Tuesday. And thank you for everybody who shares and tags and likes and engages with our posts, so that more people can see it. We can influence more people. And we hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and we'll see you next Tuesday for chapter 7. I'll see you guys next week.
Bye, guys.